The internet wasn't even widespread until 92, 93, in those years when I graduated high school. So I want to give context because prior to this explosion of information and convenience that we've had over the last 10 or 20 years, the last 2 decades, prior to all that it was way different, way different. And so, like I mentioned earlier, you kind of had to rely on certain sources of information to get an idea of what business and things like that were like back in those days. So growing up in the 80s, I as a kid, I wasn't thinking entrepreneurial, anything like that. I was all about the popcorn movies and hanging out with my friends, like all this stuff. That it's funny now. I have somebody that was like, I was watching Stranger Things and I don't understand it. And I'm like, this is one of my friends who's in his 30s. I'm like, Stranger Things is how we lived back in the 80s. Like that little show, and I haven't seen more than but the first season. But when I watched the first season of Stranger Things, I was like, oh my God, that's my fucking childhood right there. Not the horror and all that shit, but just the way the kids dressed, the way they hung out. Like they did a really good job with that first season. Go back and watch Goonies. Like that was me and my friends. Go back and watch The Sandlot. Even E.T. with the kids riding around with their bikes, not obviously going up in the sky and shit, but like all of us had like a Huffy, a Mongoose. Like these are names. If you didn't grow up with my generation, you don't know what the fuck we're talking about. And if I say Huffy or Mongoose and you don't know what kind of vehicle I'm talking about, then you're for sure you didn't grow up in my generation. So that's the thing. It's like we're in this crossroads. And if you look at that little time capsule back in the 80s, business was what we went to. The McDonald's, the Pizza Huts, the Ponderosas, which aren't around anymore, going to the arcades that aren't around anymore. It's like, to me, that's what like business was. I didn't even think about doctors or lawyers as businessmen. Like that was its own profession.